Hey guys! Alright, I am much more calm now. So I wanted to talk about the things that I did wrong when I was at Grindspace. Because I don't want anybody to think that I took my time there for granted and that I don't think that I made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. And I'm going to tell you all of the ones that I can remember. Because me as a person, I will throw myself out there and I will make a fool of myself sometimes, but I pay attention to the mistakes that I make. I will admit when I'm wrong, and I won't do things over and over again. If somebody tells me that they don't like what I'm doing, I'll almost always stop unless I really think it doesn't matter, you know? So, first off, the biggest mistake I made was with my timing of my conversation with Mark. Um, because I was incredibly emotional and I chose to talk to Mark, or try to talk to Mark, about the course thing right after he'd sent a message about the condition of the house and everyone cleaning up after each other and some other rules and that kind of thing. And first off, I completely agree with all of the rules that he stated. Mark runs an office and a business in the Grindspace location. It's really important that those rules are in place and that people are picking up after one another and that people aren't distracting his employees while they're working. I don't disagree with a single thing that Mark said in the message saying what the rules of the house were. But I made myself look like a fool because I was so emotional about the course thing with Mark that I tried to talk to him about that when the most recent thing that everyone was thinking about was the messages about the condition of the house, which is funny because, again, I completely agree with Mark set up some rules like not having guests at certain times and cleaning up after ourselves, and all of those rules are necessary. I don't disagree with any of that. And for what it's worth, I don't want people to think that I don't think that Grindspace is a good thing. It just wasn't a good thing. It became something bad for me. Any of you guys could benefit a lot by going there, and I really encourage you to. You're not going to have a bad experience. It's going to be really great, and you're going to meet some really cool people. I don't want to sally anybody's reputation. I just have to, speak my side because Mark spoke his. I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to move on, but, you know. So, okay, the timing with that conversation was the biggest mistake that I made because it made it so easy to just think that I didn't give a crap and that I left because Mark was trying to establish rules when that's not why I left. And again, I completely understand and agree with the rules that Mark was trying to establish. They're not unreasonable at all, and I think they are necessary and should be in place. It's hard to have an office with employees that is also where guests from YouTube live. It's complicated, and there need to be rules in place to make sure that everybody understands what's expected of them and how to operate while you're there. But that being said, now I'll go into everything that I did wrong that I remember, okay? So, first thing, I made bird feeders out of some bottles and that kind of things because I wanted to see more birds. And there were these pretty cool. I'm not going to explain my side. I'm just going to tell you guys how I screwed up, okay? So, I made bird seed feeders and put them in the backyard. That was not really my place to do. It wasn't my home. So, I shouldn't have done that. I also grabbed a bowl from the kitchen and put birdseed in it and put it in the yard for the same purpose when there weren't enough bowls for other people, right? So it doesn't make sense that I used something from the kitchen to make myself happy when other people didn't have, the bowl that they needed to eat their cereal or whatever. I was processing peppers to make chili powder, and I left them out, and I got locked out, so they were out for 2 or 3 hours, and there was a lot of, it took up a lot of space. So I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that somewhere not in the kitchen, not in the common area, right? I should have done that in my own space. Um, I My girlfriend was over a lot, um, and like that one I'm kind of iffy about because like Mark encouraged me to get to meet somebody, and like Mary's really clean. Like she cleans up after people, and she just kept to herself and just sat and looked at her phone. She wasn't obstructive at all. But anyway, um, the next thing that I did wrong is that there was okay. We have salt in the house, right? And I have a habit of pinching the salt with my fingers to pick it up and put it in food. Okay, instead of using like a spoon or some kind of container, I put my fingers in it, and that Carlos didn't like that, and I should have respected that he didn't like it and just used a spoon, but I didn't. I just kept doing it. Okay, there was another time where I took a poo and I flushed the toilet, but I didn't check to see if the toilet had actually flushed it. So I ended up leaving a poo in Mark's bathroom. Um, and I'm sorry about that. Um, there was another time where I cooked an egg in the microwave and it exploded, and I cleaned it up, but I didn't do a very thorough job, so it smelled for a while. That was at the very beginning. There was another time as well where I bought some fish and I put it in the freezer, and then I put it in the fridge and it thawed, and the smell, like the liquid, dripped into the bottom of the freezer, and it took me like a day to clean that up, so the fridge smelled like fish for a day. Um, there was another time where I was like blatantly stoned in front of Mark's employees, and that was disrespectful of me, and I shouldn't have been stoned at that time of day. Um, I had guests over on the weekend. Um, we had communicated that we were gonna have people and for a separate thing, so I thought it was okay, and it seemed to be okay, but I don't know. Um, just a couple people using the pool had some pizza and left. They were really respectful, to be honest. So like, can't really say that I regret that, but I understand why it might come across the wrong way to the others. There was another time where I left candles burning in the room, and that was really irresponsible of me because it could have burned the house down. That's not a mistake I would make again. I was absent-minded, and I just left the room and forgot about them, and that was my mistake. And then also, they like melted and wax was everywhere, and I didn't clean it up straight away. I took too long to clean it up. I did eventually clean it up, but I should have cleaned up much sooner. So normally I would wake up and let the maid in at 7 in the morning and unlock the door for the employees. But there was one day where I forgot to set my alarm to let the maid in, and she waited for about an hour before I woke up and let her in. So I'm sorry about that. There was another time where I was doing my laundry and I washed my blankets and bedding stuff, and then I hung them to dry in the front yard, and I should have hung them somewhere less visible and less conspicuous. What else? There's more things, there's always more, but I don't want anybody to think that I think that I'm perfect. I made mistakes, and I try and only make a mistake once, but yeah, I also, Grind Space is a really great thing for anybody on YouTube watching this. Please don't take what happened with me as a reason not to go. You will meet some really cool people, and being around Mark for a bit is a really, really beneficial thing. It'll show you what's possible, and I don't want anybody to think that I like hate Mark or anything. I just had a falling out with him for my own personal reasons and for what I want out of life. I believe that life is a balance. I don't think that it's smart to work 8, 12 hours every single day. I think that it's best to work 2 to 4 hours on something and then spend the rest of the time with good people and spend the rest of the time like doing mundane tasks like cutting up vegetables and cleaning and like I think those things are important. I think life is about a balance. But yeah, I hope this kind of explains some of the things that I did wrong. I'm sure there's more, you know. I'm not saying that I know everything that I ever did to offend anybody while I was there, but I want to make sure that you guys know that, like, I made mistakes. And I'm not trying to make it seem like, you know, like Mark is a thug or anything like that. I just had disagreements. And, yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Ciao.